Okay, so I don't know why this keeps happening to me. It's kind of crazy for me to be invited to national conferences to speak about Indigenous perspectives on Ozempic, or to be invited into communities to have presentations for primary care clinicians to talk to them about Ozempic. I am a learner, teacher, advocate for various cultural components that can be utilized in a healing strategy. Plant medicine probably being what I'm most well known for. But here I am making courses for physicians to learn and understand a lot more about the pathophysiology of disease, and also to learn a little bit more about the drugs that they're using. So I don't know. I don't want to have to do this kind of work. So I thought I'll just throw it all up in a YouTube video. My thoughts on Ozempic and everything that I would consider if I had a loved one who was staring down the barrel of having to take one of these medications. I've been following them for so long. Back when I was researching naltrexone as an alcohol abuse therapy. Was introduced to glp-1 agonists, and I've followed the research ever since. For those that don't know, when I'm researching plant medicines, I'm completely involved and invested into all of the literature and various drug discovery processes. So glp-1 agonists have been very familiar to me for a very long time. I did not expect these drugs to become this popular this fast. But I wanted to share with you guys quite a few, just a couple different points on things to consider. Number one, and this is all just based on what the research says, what the approval of these drugs, the research that their approval is based off of. That's basically what I'm referencing here. It's kind of more or less a quick Google search away. You don't really have to look far to be able to find this data. But number one thing to consider is that when you get off Ozempic, most of the weight just comes back. So yes, the research on this drug so far shows that you're only able to lose weight within the first year. So whatever weight that you lose within the first year is however much you're ever going to be able to lose on that drug. From there, you could look at, so most of the people in Canada anyways are on Semaglutide, which is Ozempic. And the data on Ozempic shows that by about 50 weeks, your weight starts to creep back up, even though you're on the drug. And it suggests that it's going to eventually creep right back up to where it was. So you're just going to gain all of the weight back. There is the development of another drug, though, called terzepitide, which is Mounjaro. And Mounjaro can, its really initial data suggests that it might be able to keep you maintain whatever weight that you lost in the first year, to be able to maintain that for at least an additional year. They have suggestions that it might come back up afterwards. So regardless, we should already have the understanding that this is a one-shot, one opportunity that we have to be able to lose the weight that we need to be able to incorporate the lifestyle changes that are required to be able to allow for us to be in a situation where we're able to maintain that weight loss ourselves, because with the help of the drug, with the drug, it's not even going to help. So that's really interesting to consider. Number two, I think the biggest consideration that is not very well known for whatever reason. See, I go to like diabetes conferences all the time, whether I'm a presenter, generally delivering keynote addresses on indigenous novel therapeutics to help with diabetes. For the past couple months, I've been going to a variety of different diabetes conferences, whether that's organized by Diabetes Canada, by various indigenous groups and health teams. And they bring in experts, and more often than not, most of the experts that I'm able to speak with about the side effects of Ozempic, they have no idea that in my consideration, what is the most devastating side effect of Ozempic is it doesn't just help you lose weight, but like fat. It helps you lose muscle, and it helps you lose bone density. And so a lot of initial data, so this is just from independent doctors, physicians that have their own private practices, and they're pulling in this case study data. That's what I'm consulting with to be able to tell you that probably at least 30% in the lowest end of the spectrum of the weight loss total is coming from muscle, lean body mass loss, and bone density loss. So yeah, you're losing weight, the scale is going down, but you're losing a lot of muscle and you're losing a lot of bones. What is the significance of this? The significance of this is that we are an incredibly frail population. I mean, we make jokes about what the powwow body is, the big pot belly and thin little legs and thin little arms. This is a condition called kwashiorkors. That is a protein deficiency disorder. That's a lean body mass disorder. There is not enough muscle on this individual to be able to achieve a healthy metabolism in any way. It's completely destroyed. Yeah, and we make jokes, powwow body. But we are an incredibly frail population already. I know a lot of people who are hardly even in their 50s and they're not able to get up off the floor after playing with their grandchildren. They have such low body mass. And I think a lot of this is driven by one simple thing. I think the biggest contributor to our frailty is probably visceral fat. Visceral fat is well known for being a lean body mass protein synthesis suppressor. So the more visceral fat that your body has, the less ability it is to be able to synthesize muscle. So it only gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And as that visceral adiposity grows inside of our abdomen, around our organs, your muscles are not able to grow or recover from exercise and things, and so they get to the point where they're small enough. Your muscles are the largest organ that we have that are responsible for so much. Primarily, I think a lot of us are relying on our muscles for glucose control, glucose metabolism. So in the case of chronically uncontrolled blood glucose conditions like diabetes, your muscles are really, really important to be able to grab that sugar and utilize it as a source of fuel to keep your blood sugar in control. And when you don't have your muscles, you don't have blood glucose control, and diabetes, the most morbid condition that has ever affected our species, is able to take over. And so we end up becoming more frail. And so in the utilization of a drug called Ozempic that's well known for a reduction in lean body mass, a reduction in bone density, making us more frail, an already incredibly frail population, more frail. I'm so sick of stories that I get on my Facebook and Instagram, and probably even on YouTube comments if I ever read those, is that when people fall. Oh, I started taking Ozempic last year and I fell and I broke my hip, or I broke my leg, or I had to get this surgery done because I fell and I broke this and this happened. And so there's a really clear trend that's happening when people are taking Ozempic and drugs that are classified as glp-1 agonists. This is one of the biggest problems that they're causing. And so if we want to be able to do anything to help with this problem, we have to consider some ways that we could mitigate the side effects of this. And I think the only way that, and this is just an assumption, this is just me blowing a bunch of hot air, but I think that really considering resistance training, resistance exercise, stress being applied to the muscle and to the bone to prevent any bone loss would be super appropriate. And getting protein intake from high quality sources like animal products, where you're getting at least a gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. And maybe on the lowest end of that spectrum, maybe 1.7, maybe is the lowest I go, 1.7 grams per kilogram of ideal body weight. And just for simplicity of really dealing with this really catastrophic issue, just focus on animal proteins. That's the only real available, easiest way to make sure that you're getting all of the protein that you require. So, unless when we're working with plant medicines, you have to be able to understand the role that leucine plays in its ability to stimulate mTOR, which is some nutrient sensing pathway that muscle protein synthesis relies on exclusively, getting 3 grams of leucine per meal required to be able to turn on mTOR to be able to activate muscle protein synthesis. Unless you recognize and understand the complexities of achieving the proper proteins from plants, then stick to animals. Just have gram of protein per pound of body weight. Animal products, you're having enough protein to be able to prevent muscle loss. This is from research by Stu Phillips, who has been doing this at, I think, McMaster. You can't just take this drug and sit on the couch and lose weight and expect everything to be okay. So this is something really, really important to consider. You will lose bone mass, you will lose muscle mass, and that will play a role in your longevity, your ability to a long life, but also be able to maintain that quality of life throughout the aging process. There's no doubt we are in an accelerated aging epidemic, and that this is something that really, really needs to be taken into consideration. So the third thing that I really wanted to be able to share with everybody is that we're obsessed with Ozempic's ability to help us not eat. And then we complain about how it makes us nauseous. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to be able to share with everybody something that I think is really interesting. So of course we spend so much time talking about and promoting a carnivore diet, which I think is the only biologically appropriate way of eating that is completely suitable for our species. There's lots of reasons why, but I thought it was interesting, in my research for glp-1 agonists, I actually early on was really trying to figure out satiety signaling inside of the body, what causes us to overeat, or what causes us to become full, and glp-1 agonists is something that your own body makes. And it makes it through one specific pathway. So this is one of the things in the carnivore diet perspective that helped me realize that fiber is not just not beneficial, but actually causes a lot of harm, even in minute amounts. Fiber is an intensely contraindicated nutrient. Number one, not required. Number two, very contraindicated. One of the things that it does, I think, I really can't get over the terrible fact that it washes out massive amounts of cholesterol, which we need. They're wiped out with fiber, so I don't like that. But also, fiber will encapsulate and shuttle bile salts, bile acids out through your colon. When in reality, what is supposed to happen is bile is supposed to touch your colon, and that's what sends the signal for your body to make its own native glp-1 agonist. You make your own Ozempic, make your own Semaglutide, terzepitide, Mounjaro, whatever you want to call it. And so when bile touches the distal colon, you have a native endogenous release of glp-1 agonist. You do it on your own. It's a part of your own natural satiety signaling. So when we are consuming fiber, a negative this is another pin in the hat of why fiber is a contraindicated nutrient at any level, is because it's going to encapsulate and safely shuttle bile out of the colon. Never give the bile the opportunity to touch the distal colon and allow for the release of native endogenous glp-1 agonists or Ozempic. So your body makes its own Ozempic, and it wants to release that Ozempic. If you were to only not have fiber, you would give your body the ability to do that. I guess number 4 is probably going to just want to wait for terzepitide or Mounjaro to be able to be released in Canada. I mean, it's far greater tolerated, and according to some of the initial data, you're able to maintain the weight loss that you lost in that first year for a whole other year. So it gives you 2 years to sort everything out, to accomplish the lifestyle changes and applications of good habits to be able to do this on your own, because this drug is a one-hit wonder. You get one chance for it to do what it's supposed to do. There are side effects, but there's ways to mitigate that, and or consider supporting your body's own mechanisms in satiety signaling to allow us to feel full by excluding the nasty contraindicated nutrient that we like to call fiber from our diets, and allow the bile to touch the distal colon to allow your body to create its own glp-1 agonist, your own native endogenous Ozempic. So those are the couple things that I wanted us to be able to consider when it comes to this drug, and hopefully this will reduce the amount of requests that I have in my email for coming to this community and going to that community and going to this conference, and can you have a keynote address on Ozempic? So hopefully can kind of slow down on those requests a little bit, and just use this kind of free material platform for whatever you want. Now, I hope I presented that in a way that makes sense. Let me know what you guys think. See you later.